What's going on, everybody? Today I'm doing my Week 2 Sunday review. I'm just going to go over every game that happened on Sunday, just give a brief description of what I thought of the game, how I think each team played. I don't want it to be too long because there are a lot of games to go through, so it's going to be brief. I'm not going to go too in-depth, and this is just for Sunday as well. And let me know down in the comments below if your team won on Sunday. Mine did not play, so it was a stress-free Sunday that I just got to sit back and watch football. But starting with the Packers Falcons, this was actually a good game. This game was actually pretty cool to watch. I'm assuming a lot of people didn't watch it because it's Green Bay and the Falcons. Jordan Love played not his best game. I know he had 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, only 150 yards, 14 completions. Lack of running game again, only 55 yards. He surprisingly took off Jordan Love. Wasn't the worst game. They were up 24-12, I believe it was, going into the fourth quarter. I think they were going into the fourth quarter. Bijan Robinson had himself a day. Completely outplayed Algier, which doesn't have to. Their teammates, they should both go up. But 19 carries for 124 yards and 6.5 yards a carry. I played against him in fantasy, so I did end up losing in fantasy. Drake London, pretty good day, 6 for 67 and a touchdown, 7 targets. You like to see that. Bijan had 4 catches for almost 50 yards. I mean, Bijan was an animal yesterday. Jordan Love, I think he had that bad penalty on, what was it, QB sneak, and he got a false start. He didn't have a completion in the fourth quarter. I think he was like 0 for 4 in the fourth quarter. It wasn't a good day by Jordan Love, but that's all right. It's second NFL start this season, or I think he had one before, but it's actually a pretty good game. Falcons end up winning 24-25 at home. They're 2-0 now. I know if you came from my NFC South prediction video, I had a lot of Falcons fans on that video because I think I had them taking third behind the Panthers and the Saints. They look good. The Falcons look really good. Bijan looks incredible. They've had a pretty favorable schedule. I mean, Green Bay's no powerhouse. But I think I had them losing this game. I'm surprised they won, but good win for the Falcons. Next, this game's going to be quick. Raiders at Buffalo. Buffalo ends up winning 38-10. I had this game on and off. I think it was like 14-10 or something at one point, 14-7, and then Buffalo just kept going up and down the field. I played against James Cook in fantasy, and I feel like they were on the goal line like 10 times yesterday. I was just praying they didn't give it to him, which he didn't score a touchdown, but he had 123 yards rushing. He had himself a fucking day. They were able to run the ball, which is really good for Buffalo because they've consistently not had a great running game. Pretty much Josh Allen's entire tenure in Buffalo. So that's good for them. Stephon Diggs had a pretty slow day. Gabe Davis had a big day, but it was really the running. Josh Allen, 31-37, is really good. 3 touchdowns, 274. I mean, there was just no way the Raiders were going to walk into Buffalo and win. Jimmy Garoppolo had 2 picks, only 185 yards. Josh Jacobs, 9 carries for -2 yards. That's pretty insane. I also went against Devontae Adams in fantasy, so he cooked. Josh Jacobs did good receiving, but besides that, not much going on. I mean, this was a pretty boring game. It was over pretty quick. It was expected. The Raiders are an average team, potentially below average, and Buffalo's a good team. They got embarrassed last week, and they bounced back in a good way. Next, another big game. Baltimore Ravens at Cincinnati Bengals, and the Baltimore Ravens win the interdivisional matchup on the road. 3 points. This was actually a really good game. Cincinnati falls to 0-2. Not time to press the panic button, as I think they started 0-2 last season. They always start slow, and they get hot at the right time, right before the playoffs. Lamar Jackson, he had an all-right day. I know his completion percentage is pretty decent. 2 touchdowns passing, 237 yards. But he was running the ball a lot. He ran the ball 12 times, and he really didn't get that much yards. An all-right rushing day. I mean, they put up a lot of yards. This is almost 200 yards rushing. So they were able to run the ball pretty efficiently. Nelson Aguilar, your leading receiver, is never a good thing. Mark Andrews, first game back. Odell, I think, got hurt and did not return. It was a good game by the Ravens. They led pretty much the entire time. Bengals started really slow. Joe Burrow started really slow in the first half and then got really hot in the second half. 2 touchdowns, a pick. He had a really bad interception that he was thrown to T. Higgins. Joe Mixon, they had really no run game. T. Higgins, who I also played against Joe Burrow and T. Higgins. 2 touchdowns, 8 for 89. He really turned it on in the second half. Pretty much everything came in the second half for him. Jamar Chase has not started the season great. It's not all his fault. I mean, he's still the same receiver he was last year. It's just limited opportunities. He did have 8 targets, only 5 catches for 31 yards. I mean, they're two good teams. I wouldn't take this loss too heavily if I'm a Cincinnati fan. Baltimore's a good team now. It does suck. They're in the division. I did pick Baltimore Ravens to win this division, I think. Or the Bengals. It's going to come down to them, even though we do have a big matchup between the Steelers and Browns tonight. Monday Night Football. I'm excited for that. But I really wouldn't, I don't think the Bengals are going to miss the playoffs because they started 0-2. You look at the rest of the AFC teams that you're going to see in the playoffs, or at least you thought you were going to see in the playoffs. In the Chargers, they're 0-2. I had the Jaguars aren't looking too hot. I mean, they had an easy one last week, but did not look good yesterday against the Chiefs. The Jets lost Aaron Rodgers. The AFC landscape has opened up a good bit. They're not all on fire right now. Chiefs lost, so it's not the end of the world that you're 0-2, but you do have to win next week if you're the Bengals. Good for the Ravens starting at 2-0. Another big game. I hate to say it. Not all of these are big games, so I'm not going to say it every time, but Seahawks and Lions is a highly anticipated game. Last year, this matchup was awesome, and it did not disappoint. Seattle walked into Detroit with the blue ski masks and won 37-31 in overtime. Geno Smith looked good. He went 32-41 for 2 touchdowns, 328. Kenneth Walker looked alright, although he did have 2 touchdowns. Tyler Lockett, who I also played against in fantasy, the guy's team went off. They all had multiple touchdowns, but he had the walk-off game-winning touchdown in overtime. It was a good game by everybody except for the the defenses. Jared Goff had himself another big day, but probably his worst turnover as a Detroit Lion. He threw a pick 6 in the fourth quarter. I think he was just about to set the all-time record. He was close to it, the all-time record for most attempts without an interception, and he threw a pick 6. Unfortunate timing for a pick 6, but he'd have 3 touchdowns. He had himself a good day. 28-35 for 323 is awesome. Montgomery did get hurt in this game, so hopefully see more Jahmyr Gibbs, as he was really a non-factor in this one. Amon-Ra went off. Reynolds had himself 2 touchdowns. Laporta looked good, the rookie. Jahmyr Gibbs had 7 catches. Most of them were, they were pretty much all just short dump-offs, but he was still involved in the pass game. Hopefully we see him in the run game for you fantasy players. But this game had big implications for the NFC sort of seeding. Now, I know it's week 2, so it really doesn't matter now, but later on in the season, I really do think both these teams are going to make the playoffs, and they're not guaranteed to win their division, especially with San Fran in the West, and Detroit is probably, I picked them to win the North, but Vikings are 0-2, could be 0-3 next week, so we'll see about that. But, this is a big game for seeding that Seattle took, so they now have the tiebreaker. Next game, not going to say much about this. This wasn't a big one. Indianapolis Colts win 31-20 on the road in Houston. Houston, I figure, was going to have the second worst record in the league. Anthony Richardson had 2 rushing touchdowns early, but then goes down with a concussion. He was 6 of 10, 56. Gardner Minshew came in and looked good. I really don't think this team is going to get worse. I understand Anthony Richardson has to start off the bat. You drafted him 4th overall, I think. And you just want him in there. It's 2023. You start your rookies right away now. But in all honesty, I think this Colts team is better as a team and would win more games with Gardner Minshew in. So record-wise, I think Colts are actually going to win some games and stay afloat. But Anthony Richardson is going to miss a lot of these reps that he needs as a rookie. You need these reps. They're important. You've seen what happened to Trey Lance. He couldn't stay on the field. Zach Moss had himself a good day. Finally, they had no run game last week, so that helps Gardner Minshew because he really can't run himself. Michael Pittman had an all right day. Really nobody else popped off too much. It was pretty much spread out. Texans, Stroud threw 47 times for 384. He almost threw for 400 yards, but it was in a losing effort. He had no run game. 2 yards a carry, 3 yards a carry, 2 yards. Just couldn't run the ball. Nico Collins had a big day. Robert Woods pretty good. Um, yeah, I mean their defense really didn't do anything. I mean, he let up 31 points. But CJ Stroud didn't look bad. You don't want him throwing almost 50 times. It's not good for your quarterback. You'd like that to be around 35, but threw for a lot of yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. It's the Texans. They're not going to be that good. But an interdivisional win for the Colts. On to the Chiefs and Jacksonville. Chiefs walked into Jacksonville, won 17-9. I thought this was going to be like a 30, 28, 27 game. Something like that, 4 touchdowns each. And it was the opposite. Jags really never got going. They did not look like the same team they were last week. Mahomes himself didn't have the best game. They only scored 17 points. If you would have told me the Chiefs score only 17, I would have the Jags winning. Pacheco looked pretty good running the ball. Mahomes ended up running the ball a decent amount. He went 29, 305, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Sky Moore, your leading receiver. Travis Kelce looked, he only had 26 yards in his first game back, so they really limited him. They did lose 2 fumbles, but Jags did not look good. Trevor Lawrence went 22 of 41. That's only around 50% for 216. No touchdowns. ETN could not run the ball very well. Kirk had himself a big day. Calvin Ridley did not, who I had in fantasy. Just a tough game. Chiefs are the Chiefs, Jags are the Jags. I was excited for this one. It was a little boring. This is one that I was really looking forward to in the 1 o'clock slot. But I wouldn't take too much out of this. Chiefs got their first win. Jags get their first loss. I still think both these teams are going to win their division. And probably see each other in the playoffs because they'll be the 1 and the 4 seed, I think. So, once again, if you're a Jag fan, I wouldn't worry too much about it. It's only Calvin Ridley's second game with the team. They'll be better next week. Now, this game, the Chicago Bears visiting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This one's a tough one. Buccaneers end up winning 27-17 at home to actually go 2-0, which I had the Bucs being one of the worst teams in the league. I would say Baker. I'll talk about the Bucs first. Baker's actually shot. Baker threw for 317, 26-34 for a touchdown. Rashad White was able to run the ball a decent amount and get himself in the end zone. The team's looking good, and it's not like, Baker actually had a really good game. Now the Bears are bad. I still don't think the Bucs are very good. They have played the Bears and they did beat the Vikings. That's actually a pretty good win. But, the Bucs aren't, their offense isn't carrying or their defense. It's a really well-rounded effort by their defense and their offense. Mike Evans had himself a career day, 6 for 171 and a touchdown. Chris Godwin, a pretty good day. They had 2 picks, 1 for a pick 6. It's a good game by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, they do host the Philadelphia Eagles next week, so we'll know a little more about who they are next week, Monday Night Football. But 2-0 so far. The Bears, however, this is not a good game. Justin Fields, 16-29 for 211, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. His second interception came at the end of the fourth quarter when they were down by 7, I think it was, and he threw a pick 6. They couldn't run the ball once again. 5 yards of carry is good, 8 yards, but they just didn't run the ball because they were losing the whole time, so they were passing the ball. DJ Moore had himself a good day, or actually a really good day. But besides that, nothing. Claypool got a touchdown, but only 36 yards. It was just not a good day by Justin Fields. Now I do think the Bucs defense is better than people give them credit for. They're a well-coached defensive team with Todd Bowles at the helm. But the Bears are still one of the worst teams in the league. So I don't know who they play next week. I'm actually curious as to who they play next week to see if they do start 0-3. But they need to win. They need to win next week. On to this game, which is sneakily game of the week. It was the Los Angeles Chargers going on the road in Tennessee against the Titans, and the Titans end up winning in overtime, 24-27. This has massive implications. I'm surprised by this game. The Titans, I didn't think were going to be that bad of a team that people thought they were. I still think they're well coached. Their defense is pretty good. They won a heartbreaker last week in New Orleans, but Los Angeles, I'll talk about the Titans first, and I'll get to my rant about the Chargers. Ryan Tannehill, 20-24, 246, and a touchdown. It's a lot different than it was last week for him when he had 3 picks against the Saints. Derrick Henry was able to run the ball not efficiently. 3.2 yards a carry is awful. Treylon Burks had a big catch that got him to 76, but besides that, I mean, it wasn't the best offensive game by the Titans. They really didn't do too much. I mean, they didn't do anything special. I wonder if they have time of possession on here. They don't. I'm really curious about time of possession. Actually should show it here. Yeah, Titans had the ball for another 8 minutes and 40 seconds, which is a lot. Chargers, Herbert 305 for 2 touchdowns, pretty good completion percentage. They were not able to run the ball at all. Josh Kelly did not look like himself from last week. Keenan Allen had himself a great day. So did Mike Williams. The offense was good. I mean, you couldn't get the Titans off the field. You went into overtime. They even got ball first, and they still lost. What did Quentin Johnson put up? Their rookie. He had 1 catch for 7 yards. All right. I don't know. Brandon Staley's going to be on the hot seat. You can't start 0-3. You cannot start 0-3. Next week, they don't have an easy game. It is against the Vikings, I believe. Yeah, I think they play the Vikings, and both those teams are 0-2. You cannot afford to start the season 0-3. You put yourself in a steep hole. There's only 17 games. You start 0-3, that's more than a sixth of the season. I'm surprised they lost, especially getting the ball first in overtime with Herbert. I don't know. Very bad game. It puts a bad taste in my mouth. It's do or die next week. I really don't. It's difficult to bounce back from an 0-3 start, especially in the AFC West when you got to play the Chiefs. Yeah, I'm interested to see what they do next week. I'll definitely be watching that game. Arizona and New York, not much to say. It was 2 bad teams going at it. Arizona was up 28-7. They were up 20-0, and then the Giants stormed back on the heels of Daniel Jones and Saquon. Daniel Jones, 26-37 for 322, 321, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Saquon couldn't really run the ball well. Daniel Jones did, however, 9 for 60 with a touchdown. Hyatt had a massive catch, 2 for 89. Waller had a big day, went against him in fantasy. Yeah, the Giants beat the Cardinals. I mean, I don't know. I'm stuck on this one because, one, you shouldn't have been down 20-0. You should not be down 20-0 to the Arizona Cardinals. If this was 30 other teams in the league, they would have lost pretty bad in this one. I don't know how to look at it. Like, yeah, you came back, so like you can look at it in the positive. They did come back from this. They had a bad start, but man, there's no other team in the league that you can go down 20-0 and just storm back so easily. They play San Fran on Thursday. They're gonna lose that one. Like I don't see how they win that game. Start 1-2, but this was you escaped a lot of criticism and scrutiny. If they would have lost this game, New York media would have been all over the Giants. They luckily got out of it. San Fran, LA. San Fran on the road, even though it's like a home game for them, it's still in California. They win 30-23 against the Rams. Rams have not beaten the San Fran 49ers in like 4 or 5 years in the regular season. Brock Purdy looked all right, 17-25 for 205. McCaffrey looked like an animal once again. Debo looked great. Debo receiving did not, I mean, really nobody went off receiving. They didn't throw the ball much. It was a good all-around game. I mean, nothing too flashy. Once again, Christian McCaffrey ran the ball 20 times, which is awesome. So it really just slowed the game down. The Rams didn't look too bad, although Matt Stafford threw the ball 55 times. They really couldn't run the ball. He did have 2 picks. If they have Coop, I would imagine this game could have gone a lot differently. Although this rookie, Puka Nakawa, I don't know how to say his name. I'm really sorry. But he had 15 for 147 on 20 targets. 20 targets is insane. I don't know what's going to happen when Cooper Kupp gets back. I would assume it just goes back to Kupp and he'll get some of the targets, but he's got to be their second guy. No doubt about it. It's a good win for the 49ers. The Rams aren't going to be a pushover. The Rams are tough this game. Rams are going to be a better team than they were last year. I can promise you that. So Seattle Seahawks, they're going to be fighting for that second spot. 49ers didn't have their best game. I thought they would have looked better. Like I said, with Cooper Kupp, this game could have turned differently, but still a good win, interdivisional win by the 49ers. And finally, I think this is the last game. Nope, we still got two more games. Jets, New York Jets at Dallas Cowboys. The Jets end up losing 30-10. I know this had a lot of hype on it. If there was Aaron Rodgers, yeah, it would have been a better game. But like Zach Wilson isn't a good quarterback. There's no way Zach Wilson is going to start more than half the season for the Jets because they're not going to throw this season away just to keep the Zach Wilson dreams alive. 12 of 27 for 170, a touchdown, which was pretty much all on Garrett Wilson. It was a slant that he threw. And then he had 3 interceptions. He also ran the ball 5 for 36. Breece Hall, 4 carries for 9 yards. I got a lot of issues with this. Garrett Wilson only had 2 catches, another big issue. Dalvin Cook lost a fumble. Sauce Gardner should have had a pick 6. But you're just not gonna win with Zach Wilson. This experiment is over. He's been in the league now for 3 years. I think it was 2020 was his draft class. No, 2021. Yeah, I mean it was a bad pick. There's just no way they don't trade for somebody. It's impossible. They're not gonna waste their season. And that's what you're doing by just keeping him in there, just throwing him in there. He's not a good quarterback. And I had to hear it from Jets fans that Zach Wilson's going to take over when Aaron Rodgers is done. No, he's not. Zach Wilson's not going to start in this league. Dallas caught the Jets in the worst situation possible, so good for them. That eases their schedule. They thought they were going to have to see Aaron Rodgers. You didn't. Dallas starts 2-0. They look really good. Jets got to figure something out at quarterback. Washington, Denver. Denver was up 21-3, so they were up by 18. Washington stormed back with Sam Howell. Sam Howell looked pretty good, 27-39 for 299, 2 touchdowns. Brian Robinson looked decent. He had 2 touchdowns himself. McLaurin had a big touchdown. 2 average team. I mean, I don't know how Washington hasn't looked good in either of these games, but they are 2-0, so it does not matter. Broncos 0-2 in the Sean Payton era. This is one you had to steal. You couldn't lose this game. You're at home. They started the season 2 straight home games. You can't start 0-2. They got to figure something out. Russell Wilson didn't play that bad. I mean, they also couldn't run the ball 3 yards a carry for their main guy. Russ ran the ball pretty well. Marvin Mims was their leading receiver. Courtland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy down here. It's just not a good game by the Broncos. It was a fucking crazy Hail Mary that they got. And then missed a 2-point conversion. That would have been awesome. They got to figure something out. You had to win one of these games. 2 home games against the Raiders and the Commanders. I don't know. You got one more week, Denver. You can't lose next week. I don't know who you play, but you can't lose it. And then finally, the Sunday night game. We have the Miami Dolphins visiting on the road to New England, where they end up winning 24-17. This is a good game. So right off the bat, New England started the season with 2 home games, and they're 0-2, which sucks. And one of them was interdivision, but they are still not in the same situation as the Broncos. Like New England has played the Eagles and the Dolphins, 2 teams who I picked to be in the championship games in the AFC and NFC respectively. This is a tough start to the schedule with a new offensive coordinator. And they lost by a possession of both, where they had the ball end of the game to win it, and they just haven't come up short, especially last night. Speak about coming up short with Strange getting down inches, and he was short. I did want them to convert because I obviously wanted to see some more football and maybe, more down to the wire, but he was short. I think Tua's 5-0 against the Patriots in his career, which is crazy, although he didn't do too much, 21 of 30, 249, a touchdown and a pick. But they were able to run the ball very effectively for 121 yards, 2 touchdowns by their leading receiver, Raheem Mostert. I was shocked. I mean, Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill did not have himself a great day, but he did have a touchdown. Dolphins look good. I mean, they're 2-0. Good for them. Mac Jones did not look bad. They just started slow. I think they were down 17-0 or 17-3, something crazy. They started slow. They still can't get the running game going. Ramondre had 3 yards a carry. Devontae had himself a big day. I mean, 6 for 57 is not a huge day, but it's still a pretty good day for Devontae Parker. I thought Kendrick Bourne would have done more. They did have a bad fumble in the red zone on an earlier drive, but I don't know. It's not too late for the Patriots. I still think they have a pretty productive and good season. Just lost to two really good teams in two really close fashions. Just unfortunate. They just couldn't finish drives. They were driving last night, and Mac either threw a pick or the one fumble. Like, it's two turnovers in the red zone after really good drives. I do have to spotlight Christian Gonzalez had himself a day. I think he only had one pick. Yeah, one pick. He's also the leading tackler. That one interception was awesome over Tyreek Hill. But I wouldn't give up on the Patriots just yet. And that's going to be all the games from the Sunday window. The New Orleans Saints do visit the Carolina Panthers tonight, and the Cleveland Browns do visit the Pittsburgh Steelers tonight. So I'm going to be watching those games. But I do this review every Monday of all the Sunday games. So if you want to, if you're interested in that, just be sure to watch every Monday. I'll be releasing this Monday night. And once again, let me know if your team won this week. I'm curious to see. If so, and I'll catch you guys in the videos later this week.